it's your girl, Ice Gem, and this is episode 7. Oh, I hope, of Real Talk. Oh dear. Yeah, I've had a few seizures today, so I'm not really with it anymore. But, yeah. So this episode, I wanted to talk about the mobility stuff. Yeah, so I keep saying, oh, I'll talk about that in another episode, I'll talk about that in another episode. There's so much going on, you know. So, yeah. Again, we'll talk about the seizures in another episode, because that's quite a big subject for me at the moment. But also, so is this mobility stuff. So, yeah, let's see, where are we with the timeline? I don't know what other stuff we've talked about. There is a little bit of time in between this, but I'm gonna start with this. So I had like a lot of back injuries during my life, like a lot. I had a physical job in the care industry and I hurt my back a few times. I hurt my back when I was young. Yeah, let's not go too deep into that whole event, but I was assaulted, let's just put it that way, and kicked in the back multiple times. And yeah, that was my first back injury. And it was never right, you know. I think a lot of people have back injuries and can relate, like, after that first one, it's never quite right. Yeah, they said I'd chipped a vertebrae, but then later said they couldn't find any evidence of that. So, I don't know. I thought I had a chipped vertebrae. You know, that's what they said at that time. And then, yeah, I went on to work and had a few back injuries, like work-related. And then, yeah, I had this, like, big back injury in August 2023. I was 8 months sober, just towards the 8th month of sobriety that time around. And yeah, I'd carried like too many bags and I carried too much. I guess I misjudged my strength. I was always like a really strong person physically before, despite like small stature. I was always like quite strong. And I injured my back, and it kind of wasn't just one back injury that day, it was 5. I just kept picking up the bags and yeah, compounding the injury, I suppose. I just again and again and again. So that didn't heal really. I was in a really confined space when I was healing that, like a really small room. The previous place I lived before here, you know, some of the older videos, the original Real Talk ones, that was where I lived, at that room. And yeah, it didn't heal right, I guess. And it's just been really hard to get help, I guess, and diagnostics. Since then, I was walking on a walking stick for a bit, but then I did the physiotherapy and I wasn't on the walking stick. And then I had another back injury, August again, 2024. And this one kind of made no sense. I had walked a long way. It's the longest I'd walked since that 2023 back injury. But that was part of my physiotherapy, you know. I was building up the walking. The continued physiotherapy, once I'd stopped seeing a physiotherapist, was to, you know, keep walking further and further. And yeah, I came home after a long walk. I actually passed by some urbex that day, and yeah, it's like a strong memory in my mind, because I really wish I'd gone in there and done some urbex video, because I've just not really been the same since then. But maybe that is a silly thing to think, because maybe I would have got injured in there. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I walked back fine from like wherever we were, and yeah, I lifted up a plate doing washing up and just completely collapsed onto the kitchen floor. Yeah, that time I couldn't walk after that. I was really shuffling, and I did manage to rest for the first couple of weeks. Painkillers again, and but at that point I'd already had like a year with these other physiotherapists, not the ones at the hospital. The hospital one was really good, but these GP ones or whatever. And yeah, I didn't really like the way they hadn't sent me for diagnostics. They hadn't sent me to see an actual doctor at any point, and just like the general attitude they were having previously, that oh, there's nothing wrong, which is fine, okay. Like, you're gonna give me a physical examination and tell me there's nothing wrong, okay, but like, then why am I having all this pain and all these mobility problems? You know, yeah, I don't even know if I should actually post this video. At what time are we at? Okay. I'm feeling deep regret now that I'm getting into this subject, because I'm like feeling really emotional, like a lot of different emotions. Okay, then that just devolved. Now, this links in actually really to the seizure subject, because the seizures are functional seizures. Yeah, which is not a type of epilepsy. Formerly known as I can't remember what the P stands for. Non-epileptic seizures. Anyway, they changed it to functional seizures because the name was problematic, and that's about the 5th problematic name this type of seizures had. Just to make it known, I haven't had an EEG, so it's just suspected functional seizures. They wrote suspected PNES, but that's outdated language, so I say suspected functional seizures because it's the most up-to-date term. You know, I'm not going to use a problematic term myself personally. Just yeah, just because of I have some other letter illnesses that, you know, this is a thing with. But anyway, I don't want to get into that because that's really for the seizure episode. But it does link in because the problem with my legs is like related to the seizures. I think, anyway, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's not helpful to mobility to be having drop to the floor full body seizures, or even the sitting up partial kind. It's probably not helpful to a spinal injury if there was one. It's all a bit, I'm in a bit of a battle medically with a lot of different things at the moment, and I'm not really fit to fight any of these battles. I'm going to be honest, so I'm just sort of going with the flow and following things through to the end for the best possible outcome, and leaving it in a higher power's hands. I'm waffling. Right, so at some point, the walking stick was getting too hard, and I was sporadically using a rollator. So I was, physiotherapy, they told me not to use the walking stick at home. I was still maintaining that, no walking stick at home, no rollator at home, etc. at this point. But there was like an event at the park, and yeah, my partner had to go and bring the rollator here. Well, he didn't have to carry it, but he did carry it. Not here to the park, from here to the park. I was on a walking stick, and like my legs, I don't know what the proper medical term for this is, or how to describe it properly, but they just start dragging, and like the feet start dragging behind, and I'm like pulling from the top of the legs, but it's like my feet and the bottom of my legs aren't responding. So it's impossible to walk like that with the walking stick, although I was like dragging myself along like that with the walking stick. I was trying, and I didn't want to regress with my mobility, to be honest with you. But then after that, I was regularly using the rollator outside. And also my e-scooter. So I was still using the e-scooter, I think, at that time. I'm not sure. I think it might have been when that was dwindling, because I was using the combination of an e-scooter and a walking stick for a while. So it enabled me to travel long distances, and then when I arrived at the distance, I had the walking stick if I needed it. But also the e-scooter sort of is a rollator when you're walking around with it. If you do have to walk with it, like in a shop, for example, like it kind of is a rollator. Not probably as good or as safe. Obviously, with it off, I would use it and lean on it. I think a lot of people do it with bikes. And yeah, so then the rollator sort of happened, but then it was still happening, like the leg dragging. I don't know if like, it's like, just imagine these are the feet here at the bottom here, yeah. It's just like dragging a lot, like trying to literally, like my feet and the bottom of my legs are like dead, you know, but the tops are working. I'm still upright, and I'm like dragging on the rollator. So slowly I was going out less and less and less. And every time I was going out with the rollator, this was happening with my feet and legs. Eventually, it might not at first. When I first leave, I'd be strong and good. Then it would like break down to that sort of movement. And then at some point, recently, this winter, where are we now, 2025, so that was all gradually over the space of a year. I didn't really get stronger this summer with my mobility or anything. Yeah, I didn't really go out much this summer or anything. I did a little bit at the beginning, the spring sort of time, and early summer I was still able to walk in, stick and e-scooter. But yeah, so I suppose this, yeah, it did happen during the summer, the park thing. So yeah, and then it sort of degraded even more, where now my feet turn inwards. So I wasn't really going out at all at this point, just using the rollator to go out to the bins. My neighbour actually gifted me a mobility scooter at the end of the summer, and I did go out on that a little bit, but it quickly became problematic at the getting off of the mobility scooter phase, because the walking stick wasn't working anymore, and yeah, I needed the rollator attachment for it, which I haven't got yet, but I plan to try and get better. I'm on a waiting list for hospital physiotherapy again. I managed to skip the whole months and months of the other physiotherapists. This recent appointment about it, although again the GP did just a physical examination on my back and said there's nothing wrong, which I don't really think is, I wasn't satisfied with that. I was quite angry with that. Yeah, you know, I know they're a doctor, but like, there's only so much, there are limits to physical examination, you know. When they did x-rays on me, they only did my lower back, even though I said I thought the injury happened higher up. I was telling them the whole spine hurts. Oh, it's a whole thing, this back injury thing, and I don't even know if the leg stuff is related to the back injury, or if it's functional like the seizures are. Especially with them like telling me, oh, there's nothing wrong with your back, it's leaning functional. But again, much like the suspected functional seizures, without the appropriate diagnostic test, how can I, know what's going on, or anyone else know what's going on at all? We're all just guessing, I guess. Some more educated guesses than others. I will give that. Obviously, I do not have a degree in medicine at all. Yeah, this is going all over the place, this video, but it is a bit all over the place, the mobility thing. So, right, currently, I don't even know. I'm a little bit over time. I don't want to do like a really, really long video. So I'm a little bit over time, so I'll finish up on this, and I guess this means that this part of this mobility subject deserves its own video, which I will do. I had listed them as separate subjects, but then I thought, no, it's the same subject. So now I am an ambulatory wheelchair user, which means I don't need the wheelchair all the time, but I do need it sometimes. Because of the way my legs are, I do take it whenever I go out now, although I do risk it down the driveway to take the food waste and rubbish out without the wheelchair. I will use the rollator sometimes, although we'll get into this in the wheelchair episode, because of the damage I'm accruing to my hands as a new wheelchair user. Other mobility aids are not, I can't use them while my hands are healing. So I've gone like way over time. So yeah, currently at the time of filming this video, I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, and I'm using the wheelchair to go out. So of course that means urbex is a little even further away than it was in that last video that I did around it. Yeah, anyway, thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed that, I'd really appreciate it if you'd press like, and I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel as well. And yeah, if you identified or related to anything in the video, if you feel safe to and you want to, you can put a comment down below. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Peace be with you. Bye.